Hey, so I'm Aaron Aldrich. I work at Elastic, and my information is probably on the slides. I want to talk about lessons we've learned from operating computer systems and how I think it applies to people, specifically optimizing for recovery over avoiding failure. So some definitions and assumptions. Complex systems are always changing. They're inherently unknowable as a whole. So the same input does not always lead to the same output that you're expecting. Dealing with the actual letters on the beginning of my slide deck, this is what they literally mean. If you look in your programs, I also talk about relationships and fallout because I want to frame it for people. And our assumption here is that optimizing for repair and relationship is better than optimizing for avoiding problems. We'll restate this because it can't be said enough. There's no root cause to failure in complex systems and consequently our relationships. If you want to fight about it, you can talk to me and John Allspaw later. So there's no root cause here. So consequently, if we're optimizing to avoid failures and expecting root causes or problems that we know about, we end up building rigid systems that don't deal with the surprises very well. They're very inflexible in that way. And what happens is when those surprises come up, we get catastrophic failure. So that tech debt can come due in unexpected and cute ways. But this can happen to people too. Whenever we interact with each other, a transaction happens. Sometimes we both leave better. Sometimes we both leave worse. Sometimes it's one or the other. But those debts come due too. If we just keep having these transactions and don't deal with it, we can lead to massive fallout and failures in that regard. So it's okay that we have these transactions. Dealing with failure is a good thing to learn how to do. And they help us become better people overall. For instance, if I understand the edges of where we can really be pushed, it might be better to make you a little bit uncomfortable so that you can grow as a person. Or it might be time to pull back. Maybe it's really time for comfort in this and we need to just leave it. So understanding where that failure case is an important thing to learn. Yeah, I'm completely blanking on the next slide in my head. All right, great. So lesson 0, blamelessness is key for all of this. If you don't have a blameless culture, if you're more interested in pointing fingers at whose fault it was than fixing it, the rest of the lessons don't matter. So start there and just take this away with you. But if we do have more, we have some more lessons. So at Elastic, I work in a team of 14 people in 10 countries and 8 time zones. So my team communicates by text asynchronously almost all of the time. Some of us don't speak English as a primary language. So we have to assume good intent whenever we have transactions. Sometimes stuff goes sideways, and we have to assume the other person didn't mean for it to do that, and we operate from that starting point. That's not always enough. We also have a /Zoom command in our Slack channels. So we can actually create a face-to-face video chat by typing, 5 characters? And that gets us doing human interaction again. We can now see each other, we can hear our voices, see our expressions, removing those translations that have to happen in between. Next lesson, two-way communication is better than shouting into the void. Sorry for ruining all of Twitter's business model. So trying some of this on for size is what you're saying is that the actions I took directly led to the system crashing. But what I'm hearing is I'm not good enough to be part of this SRE team. Right? You're acknowledging that the person didn't verbatim say those things to you, while also having an opportunity to state how it impacts you. So now we're getting two-way communication. Stuff still goes wrong sometimes. We still have incidents, even when we're optimizing for resiliency. Nonviolent communication is a set of tools that can help you troubleshoot those conflicts that come up. They deal with breaking conversations and conflict down into pieces, so we can address it. First part is observations. These are seeable and hearable things. They're not things you think about it. They're not things other people think. They are what you can actually see and hear. Feelings are about the impact of that. That's not stuff that happens in your head, but stuff that happens in your body, your actual feelings. We try to simplify that as much as possible. Needs are usually basic human needs. You know, I just need to feel like the work I'm doing has some impact on our company or our mission statement. And there's requests. How do I help meet those needs? These are requests for the other party. They're not a demand. They have to be able to say no, or else we have other power balance dynamic issues that are more complicated. There's a lot to this. I couldn't possibly explain it in 5 minutes, so I will also suggest an open space. Here are my resource slides, but I will also post this on Twitter if you can't take a picture fast enough, or we'll talk at the Elastic booth. Thanks, everybody.